guys, I'm gonna try my absolute best to not look like a zombie. I had kind of a rough night last night, not necessarily because of Jackson, I just didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and he had a doctor's appointment today, and I'm pretty positive that I have changed and he has changed about 4 times today because he's been pretty pukey. So I want to get this video filmed. I want to get it up on Sunday. So we're just going to push through and get it filmed. Also, I would love a cup of coffee or a rock star, but I'm breastfeeding and I'm trying to keep that to a minimum. So yay. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be doing my newborn essentials video. So everything that I have found with my son in the first 3 months of his life that we love or that we use pretty much every single day. I tried to keep it kind of minimal because there's a lot of things that I feel like I could add to it, but they're not necessarily an essential. And a lot of these necessarily aren't either. Obviously, with your baby, the most thing that they need is food, a diaper change, and they can pretty much get on. But there's a lot of things that have been created that help us kind of function in our everyday lives with a newborn, help make it a little bit easier. So those are some of the things that I found that I really enjoy and that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. Don't forget to watch my last video. It's all of the baby items I regret purchasing. The other thing that I just want to let you guys know again before we get into this video is that every baby and every mama are different. So just because I love these products and Jackson has seemed to love these products doesn't mean that they're going to work for you guys. So take what I'm saying kind of with a grain of salt and just know that you can purchase these items and they might be awesome for you guys. You might love them just as much as me, or you might decide that they don't work for you. A lot of these items I have that I'm gonna be able to show you, and then some of them I'm either packed away or they're too big to show. So I'll just pop up a little picture right here for you guys to see. So the first item we're gonna talk about, and this goes on with sleeping. So in my last video, I showed you guys a swaddle blanket that I didn't necessarily love, just kind of a waste of money for us because we didn't really like the material. We couldn't get Jackson swaddled very tightly and he seemed to bust out of it. In that video, I mentioned these jersey swaddles that I really liked. So in the beginning, when Jackson was just born and we brought him home, probably in the first month and a half of his life, we used the Love to Dream swaddles, and that's something that I'm going to be talking about. We really liked those, and then when he was getting a little bit too big for those, he grew really fast, so they got tight on him pretty quickly. We switched over to just a regular sleep sack, and then we still swaddle him, but we swaddle him with these jersey swaddles. Now you can see how stretchy this material is, and it makes for getting a really nice tight wrap that he can't bust out of. He did just turn 3 months old, so we're about to transition out of not swaddling him. He has rolled once for me, but I think it was a bit of an accident, and he's definitely close. So swaddling is just gonna become a hazard more than anything. I'm kind of afraid to break him of it, and I have in the past week started not swaddling his arms. But the boy throws his arms around so much, and he always wants to suck on his hands, so it just wakes him right back up again, and we've been doing really good with sleeping. So I know it's gonna be a little bit of a transition, but we'll get there. So again, these Swaddle blankets, they're a little bit more expensive. I bought these ones off Amazon, and like I said in my last video, I only grabbed 2 of them, but I'll definitely be getting more for my next baby. And I know that I think it's Copper Pearl has these ones in this type of jersey form, and I think they're about $20 per blanket. So it's not too bad, and they're definitely something that you're gonna get your use out of. Like I said, I'll pop up the little picture of the Love to Dream swaddle. That is something that we used with Jackson when he was first born, probably till about a month or a month and a half old. I had bought 1 newborn size and 1 of the smalls, which is like 0 to 3 months. He didn't last in the newborn size very long. And then he honestly didn't last in the 0 to 3 month too long, but we really liked that swaddle. We actually just put him in his diaper, and we put some socks on him and then swaddled him. It kind of swaddles them like this, and he loved sleeping like that. Even if he wasn't in his swaddle, I would find that when he was laying there, he would sleep with his arms like this. So it's just a nice natural position for them that they really like to sleep in. It also helps because babies have that Moreau reflex where they kind of jolt. and it helps to keep them swaddled like that so that they don't wake up if they have that startle reflex. So he was in that for about a month and a half. We really liked that one. We would just put him in that, and then we would swaddle his bottom with like a receiving blanket, just from like his waist down, just to keep him warmer. So like I said, he didn't really last in that very long because they just kept getting tight, and then I would transition him to the next size and that one got tight. They are pretty pricey. I think they're $30 a piece. So I had purchased one newborn size, and I had gotten another one because if he had an accident in the middle of the night, I was up a creek without a paddle. So I had 2 newborn sizes and 2 of the 0 to 3 month sizes. And then once he was too big for those, we transitioned to, and this is my next thing, these little sleeper sacks. So we put him in one of these, and then we swaddle him with the Jersey Swaddle. And then what I'm trying to get to at this point is to just swaddle him without his arms in it. So we'll just swaddle his bottom for now because he likes the feeling of it, and get him used to not being in a swaddle at all. So we really like these little sleeper sacks. It's a nice, soft, warm material, which is really nice because I live in Michigan and it's cold and we want to make sure he stays really warm during the nights. And the other thing that I really like about it is that it's kind of like a little dress, a little sack. And so it's super easy for middle of the night diaper changes because you're not trying to get his legs and his feet out of little jammies. You can just open it right up and he's right there available to change his diaper really quick. The other thing that's super awesome about these, and I think these are the Carter brand. Oh no, it is by Carter, Simply Joy. They have the 2-way zippers, which if you watched my last video, you know that I love the 2-way zippers. So this is so awesome because you can just zip it up from the bottom, change the diaper, and you don't have to take him completely out of it in the middle of the night. On to the subject of sleeping like we've been talking about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the certain one that we have, but some sort of sound machine. Now we have the Hatch Baby sound machine and we have loved it. The thing that I really like about this sound machine is that it has all sorts of different sounds for you, and it also has different colors for you. So it lights up, it gives a little bit of glow to the room so it's not pitch black, but it's not too bright. It also gives you lots of options of sound. If your baby doesn't like one thing, they might like another thing. It will let you program a sound and a color together so you can have it under your favorites. And then also when you tap on it, you can go through all of your favorites as well. So that has been really, really helpful for us. We use it every single night. And another thing that I really like about it is that it links right to your phone. So if it's too far away that I can't get to it and I've already laid down for the night and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to turn it back on, then I can just go right on my phone, turn it on. I can adjust the sound. I can adjust the brightness of the color, all right from my phone, which makes it super easy. Now, just like the Hatch Baby sound machine, we ended up investing in the Hatch Baby scale. Now, I did not want to get a scale before Jackson was born. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought it was kind of just a lot of money that I didn't need to spend. And then I brought Jackson home and I was exclusively breastfeeding him. And if you are a mama, then you know that breastfeeding can be a little nerve-wracking because you don't really know if they're getting all of the nutrients and all of the milk that they need. You don't know how much they're taking in per feeding. Even if you're consistently feeding them every couple hours, you just don't know if they have a good latch and how much they're actually intaking. So right away in the first week that I brought Jackson home, I went online and I invested in the Hatch Baby scale. And we use it consistently all the time. I probably weigh him at least once a week. And it's just really helpful. Even though I can see that he's growing, it's really nice to see what he weighs. And it's very accurate to the scale at the doctor's office. So if I will weigh him the day that I'm taking him in for a checkup, then it's pretty much right on with what they have at the doctor's office also. So that's just something that it gives you a peace of mind, especially as a new mom and new to breastfeeding. It just is really helpful to know that my baby's getting food. Now, the other thing that you can do, which is something that I did in the beginning, is you can weigh them right before you feed them, and then you can breastfeed them, and then you can weigh them post-feeding to just see how much they took in, how many ounces they gained after the feeding. As we discussed before, this was another awesome essential for us. We used it all the time. Now, in newborn stage and 0 to 3 month stage, like I said in my last video, I seriously think this is the only thing I'm gonna get my next baby is these little sleeper footy pajamas with the zip. Now, buttons are not my best friend. They take way too long to button all the way up and down. Sometimes if you don't start from the bottom and you're starting from the top, you can get them off and then you got to start all over again. So zippers are amazing. Now, the ones that I would suggest getting are the ones, again, with the two-way zippers so that you can zip them up from the bottom and you don't have to take them fully out for their diaper change. But when they're so little and they're so fragile, you really just, you don't want to mess around with putting them in onesies and pants and socks, and sometimes they don't fit right. So we had tons and tons of clothes that we didn't necessarily put Jackson in because these little sleeper footy pajamas are just what was so easy for us, especially as a newborn. In the first month or so of their life, they're puking all over the place, they're going through tons of diapers, they're having lots of blowouts, and you just want easy. The other thing is I had Jackson in November, and like I said, I live in Michigan, so it's cold, and we just really liked having him in something that covered him completely and was nice and warm. And a lot of his newborn ones had the little sleeves that folded over as well to keep from him scratching at his face, and we didn't have to put those gosh awful mittens on him, so that was really nice as well. Even though I said that newborns spit up a lot, my son is 3 months old and he still spits up all the time. He's just a super pukey baby. And in my last video I talked about how just the regular old burp cloths were something that we just did not use. We didn't really think that they absorbed hardly anything, and they're cute, but they're really not useful. So what we use instead are just these regular old receiving blankets. These are a lot bigger, as you can tell, and they just are super absorbent. So we use these throughout the day and they absorb a bunch of throw up, and then you're not constantly washing all your burp cloths and you're not grabbing for burp cloths every 5 seconds. So the other thing I really like about these is that it's quite a big area. So I'll throw it over my shoulder and then I'll put Jackson on my shoulder and burp him, and then he typically throws up. And then I have a really good coverage so that he's not puking all over my clothes, even though he does that a lot too. But these are just super helpful. Now, I did state in my last video that we did find a burp cloth that we didn't mind, and that was these muslin burp cloths. I got these off Amazon. They're very plain and basic. I think you can get them in pink, white, and blue, but these were just very absorbent compared to the other burp cloths, and they just lasted a lot longer than one wipe and throwing them in the dirty clothes. So between the receiving blankets and these muslin burp cloths, we use these every single day and have a lot of them if you have a really pukey baby, because we probably go through 10 at least in a day. So definitely have a lot of these on hand. Now this next item is kind of a pricey item, and this is something that obviously is not an essential, but it's something that just we use every single night faithfully and has made us feel so much more comfortable. And shout out to my mother-in-law for purchasing this for us, because she knew that it would make me feel better, and it was kind of an expensive item. And that is the Owlette little sock. Now, if you are a first-time mom and you bring your baby home, then you probably understand the nighttime blues. And when I brought Jackson home, granted, he had his nights and his days mixed up and he did not sleep well at night at all. But when I would try to put him in his bassinet and go to bed, I could not sleep. And I just sat there and stared at him, wondered if he was breathing, was concerned what he was doing. And every night it was a struggle. And especially when the sun would start to go down, I would get those nighttime blues. I would get so anxious. I would get depressed because I knew that that meant it was nighttime, it was time to go to bed, and that gave me a lot of anxiety. Now, luckily, we're beyond that stage, but this is an item that I used every night, and it actually helped me get a little bit of sleep because I was so worried what he was doing, if he was okay, because SIDS are such a real and scary thing. I just always want to know if he was breathing, and this assured me that he was breathing. Now, this little Owlette sock goes on their foot, and it has a little pulse oximeter in it, and it links to your phone, and it will tell you the baby's heart rate and the baby's oxygen level. If it has a bad fit or something, then it will start to sing a song, and then you know that it just needs to be adjusted. It might have fallen off. It just doesn't have a good reading on the baby's foot. Now, if it gets a poor reading below what is set in your phone, so too high of a heart rate, too low of a heart rate, too low of oxygen level, then it will literally sound like an alarm probably scare the poop out of you and let you know that something's going on. I will say it's done that a couple times with Jackson and it terrified us. I just said that he had an oxygen level in the 80s. I don't know if it just got a poor reading or if that was necessarily true, but it's only done that a couple times. But just having this on his foot, I didn't have to constantly look at him and wonder if he was truly breathing or not. And I didn't have to watch his little chest rise and fall. And it was just gave me some peace of mind and it really helped me sleep. Now, granted, he's a little over 3 months old and I still don't think that I would let him to go to bed without this on his foot because I would just be too anxious and too worried the whole entire night. So for newborn babies and even babies that get a little older, blowouts are a thing. Trust me, I can tell you my fair share of stories. And you get the little changing mat and you get the cover for the changing mat and it's super cute, but if your baby, especially if you have a boy and he potties when you take his diaper off, or he poops, or he has a lot of spit up, then you're going to be taking that whole entire cover off that changing pad and washing it every single time that happens. And that is a lot of work to get that on and off. Plus, you would have to have tons of extra covers to make sure that you had one that wasn't in the washing machine. So what I totally love and suggest that you guys get are these changing pads. Now, I got these off of Amazon and they have a nice little strap here so that you can easily bundle them up after you wash them. And it's just this nice waterproof pad. It fits perfectly on the changing pad. And then if they have an accident and they potty or they poop or they throw up and it gets wet and dirty, you just take this off, put it in the dirty laundry, get another one, put it on the changing pad, and then you're not constantly changing that cover every single time that an accident happens. And I can tell you about so many times that I have taken this off and changed it because he has either pooped on it or thrown up on it or peed on it. The next item is for all my breastfeeding mamas, and even if you're pumping, you could use this, and that is the LV Curve. Now this essentially works just like the Haka, which is a super popular item. The Haka is quite a bit cheaper. This I think was about $50 to purchase, but it just is a perfect shape and it just suctions really nicely to the opposite breast that you're not pumping or not nursing on. And it's such a nice shape that it doesn't fall off or get kicked off by baby all the time. And it's also something that you can fit right in your bra, so that helps from it falling off as well. Now, I hardly ever pump. I just pretty much exclusively breastfeed, and when I'm feeding Jackson on one side, I will put this on the opposite side and catch my letdown. And I have so much saved up milk in my freezer just because of this and just because of the letdown that I have every time I feed Jackson. Now, if I wasn't using this, then it would just go to waste and I would not have tons and tons and tons of milk in my freezer right now, and that would be sad because all of us breastfeeding mamas know that breast milk is pretty much like gold and we do not want to lose it. So even though this was a little bit of an investment compared to the Haka, I just think it fits so much better and it doesn't get kicked off, and you can put it in your bra and snap it back up. And that way you are guaranteed this isn't going to fall off and get sticky breast milk everywhere. And if you want to save breast milk without having to pump while you're breastfeeding, this is the way to go. I have used this every single day, and I swear if I just had to suggest one thing to a mama, this would be what I would tell you to get for sure. Now, the other thing is something that my sister-in-law told me to get, and I had gotten one of those little kits for babies for that has the thermometer and all that stuff in it, and it just comes with the little clippers for cutting baby's fingernails, and it wasn't something that I was sure I wanted to use on baby because I was afraid that it could nick him, cut him too short. And so my sister-in-law actually told me to get these little scissors right here. Now I got these off of Amazon. They were a really good price, and they are just tiny little scissors, and they aren't pointy or anything, so you don't have to be worried about nipping baby while you're trying to cut fingernails, especially if you have a mover. And these things have been awesome for cutting Jackson's fingernails. Even at first, I was a little bit worried to use these, but it only took 1 or 2 times, and I'm so comfortable using these now, and I'm not afraid that I'm going to cut them too short or cause an accident if he's moving. So these are a huge essential for cutting baby's fingernails. I wasn't going to talk about baby toys because obviously we all have our own preferences. Baby toys are not an essential. Babies can be entertained by a lot of different things, but this toy right here has proven to be the best toy for both my nephew Eli and my son Jackson. Now this is the Beat Bow, and it's not very expensive. I bought it off of Amazon. And you push his little tummy, and he lights up and he sings. And this thing is a godsend for children. We had a doctor's appointment today, and I took my mom, and she babysits my nephew Eli, and then obviously my son Jackson. And even Eli, and he's 15 months old, loves this thing still, and he loved it when he was a baby. And that is the reason I bought this toy, is because my nephew loved it so much. And I bought it for Jackson, and he absolutely adores this toy. And he can be in the car, and he can be getting a little bit fussy, and you'll pull this out and turn it on, and he's just so intrigued with watching the colors and listening to the music that he totally forgets that he was even fussy to begin with. And it has saved us so many times. This never leaves my diaper bag. Goes everywhere with me. It is my #1 essential toy. If you're only going to get with your child one toy, I seriously recommend getting this, because it has proven that all babies love this thing. Now, on the subject of a car ride, taking Jackson somewhere was something that made me a little bit nervous in the beginning. I didn't want him to fuss and cry the whole entire time. And really early on, I realized that he slept really well when the car was moving, and every time the car came to a stop and all that vibration and everything stopped, he would wake back up again. And I'm sure a lot of mamas deal with this, because babies ride really well when it's noisy and when it's vibrating and moving, but then when the car stops, then they're instantly back awake again and they're crabby. So I told my mom that I should invent a car seat that vibrates, kind of like one of the bouncers that vibrates. And because I am a naive mama who doesn't know what products are on the market, apparently there is already such thing. So I went on Amazon and I found a little vibrator that you can attach to a car seat. So this is the product, and it was quite cheap, and it just has these Velcro straps. So you just strap it right to the side of your car seat, and it vibrates, and then it just vibrates the whole entire car seat. So you turn it on up top, and it has 2 different settings of vibration. And then it also has white noise sounds. So you can turn those on as well. And this has been really awesome for Jackson. Now, I won't say that it's completely taken away that problem, but the first day I used it, I noticed a huge difference. When we would stop, he would stay sleeping and he would be calm. And even when he's in his car seat and he's awake, he just loves the vibration, and it keeps him nice and happy. So this thing was a really good investment. I think it was only like $15, and we use it all the time. We don't go anywhere without it. It's always on his car seat. It has a 20-minute timer to save batteries. So once you turn it on, if you get going, baby falls asleep, it will shut off. So before you stop, or if you need to restart it again, you just push the button. This has been a cheap but really good investment, and it's something that I just haven't seen in a lot of videos, but it's something I would suggest everyone gets, because I think it will keep your baby really happy. The last item that I'm going to show you in person is something that I talked about in my last video. Now, I talked about the Graco swing and bouncer in one that I had gotten that I had not loved. So I went on Amazon and I bought a bouncer, and I think it was only $25. It was a cheap bouncer, but the way that it had been pictured, I could tell that it was kind of flatter and that baby wasn't going to be so deep in a hole with his little neck crinked. And so I bought this bouncer right here. And it has a nice turn on button right here down below. And it has straps to strap baby in. And then it has a couple items up here that can keep baby entertained while they're in it. And it's super lightweight, so you can just take it all around the house. And that was seriously a godsend for when I bought this for Jackson in the beginning. I was not even sure how I was ever going to take a shower being a new mom, because I didn't know where I was going to put Jackson, and I wanted to be able to see him all the time. So I would take this bouncer right in with me. I'd get him to fall asleep. I'd put him in the bouncer right outside of the shower, and then I could shower and just peek out the curtain every now and again and make sure that he was doing all right. And I take this everywhere around the house with me. If I'm doing dishes, he'll be in it sitting next to me. And it's just something that I have used the crap out of, honestly. And for so cheap, I would recommend just everyone getting one of these. That way, you can just take it with you. It's super lightweight, and you have somewhere to put baby that they're entertained all around the house. The last item I'm going to talk about is my baby swing. Now, like I had said in my last video, that Graco swing didn't necessarily work for us. I think it'll work once he gets a little bit bigger, but what we ended up getting, and I'll put a little picture right here, is the Fisher-Price baby swing that is the puppy version. Now, I did my research and I read all of the reviews. It had amazing reviews, and I finally bit the bullet and decided to buy the swing that I thought was kind of ugly, and this thing is great. Jackson loves it, and it fits him so good, and I think it would have fit him so good from a newborn. It's not too deep where they're gonna sit in it and be kind of crinked. It's like a little bowl, and it just fits him perfectly, and it has a mobile up top that you can turn on instead of having to hand spin it. So even when Jackson's not sleeping, he loves to sit in there and just watch the mobile because it also has a mirror on it, and it keeps him entertained even if he's not sleeping. And you know, if you're a mama, that you need places all around the house to be able to set your baby, to get just a little free time to be able to do something, even if it's go to the bathroom or wash your hands or whatever you need to do. So having the bouncer option and having the swing has been really nice. And honestly, Jackson takes a lot of his naps in the swing, and I know not a lot of people are going to agree with that, but to each their own. Sometimes if he's sleepy, we can put him in the swing and he will just swing himself to sleep. You don't even have to get him to go to sleep, which is super helpful, especially on those days that he does not want to take a nap. So those are all of the products that we have been using. Of course, there's all sorts of other essentials that you're going to use every single day, like diapers and baby baths and washes. But I just kind of wanted to stick to the items that you might not think about, but have been super helpful for us. Now, the last couple things I want to talk about are a couple apps that I use all the time. And the first one is the Baby Tracker app. Download this before you go have your baby. Have it on hand. Literally the moment your baby is born, you will use it all the time. Jackson is just over 3 months old, and I still use it every single day. In here, you can track your breastfeeding, how long you're feeding on each side. It's a little timer. You can track if you're giving them a bottle, how many ounces. If you're pumping, you can track diapers, wets, dirties, mixes, dries. You can track sleep. And it is so helpful because let me tell you, in the first couple weeks, and even now, you're not going to remember when you changed that baby's diaper. You're not going to remember the last time you nursed them unless you write it down. You're not going to remember how long you nursed them. And when you get to your doctor's appointment and they say, are they making enough wet diapers? How are they doing poop-wise? Are they feeding good? You can just pull out your app and say, okay, well, they fed for 4 hours and this many minutes yesterday, this many times. They had this many wet diapers and this many poopy diapers. And it is a miracle worker, especially because we pretty much always have our phones on us and we don't have to find a piece of paper and a pen to write it down. And we can just track when they went to the bathroom, when we nursed them, when we fed them a bottle, and it keeps you on schedule. And it is just super nice to say, oh, well, when did he eat last? And pull up your app and see that it has been an hour and some odd minutes since they ate, so that you can stay on schedule and know when baby needs what at what time. And the other app that I found a little bit later on is the Wonder Weeks app. Now, this is a free app. You can also purchase their book, and it goes a lot more in depth with it. And so babies have what are called developmental leaps. Now, these are a little bit different than their growth spurts that they have physically. These are more mental leaps. So these are just leaps where they're making all sorts of different mental growths and they're changing. And during these leaps, baby gets quite fussy, and you'll see that they might not nap as well, and they might get a little fussy for no reason. And that's because they're just going through a lot. And it might not be their physical body growing, but it's their little brains growing. And that takes a lot of energy. And so this app will tell you when your baby is going to go into a leap. It'll tell you how long the leap is, and it will tell you what this leap is and what signs and new things that you're going to see your baby doing during this leap and after this leap. So we did not download this until Jackson was almost into his second leap, and it has been right on. It seriously, every time that it says he's going to a leap, I noticed him going into like a sleep regression and being kind of fussy for no reason and not being able to take good naps throughout the day. And I also noticed those things that it's telling me that my baby's gonna start doing or experiencing. And then the moment that that leap ends on the app, the next day, Jackson will be a totally different baby. He will sleep great at night and during the day. He'll be so happy. It's not even funny. Like, he will just smile all day long. So even though it's kind of something that you can see and dread when you see a new leap coming, especially the ones that are incredibly long, it also gives you a really good idea of how baby is growing and what he's experiencing when, and kind of helps you to understand a little bit about what's going on inside of that little brain. Those are the two apps that I use all the time, every single day. They've been super helpful, and these are the baby products that I have found that have worked great for us. Now, if you guys have any other must-have baby items that you love, put them in the comments down below, because I watch these videos nonstop to see if there's something else that I might need that I should buy. That's another issue in itself because I have a shopping problem. So if you guys have any products that you love, drop them down below. If you have tried some of these things and you absolutely hate them, comment that down below too, because it helps out other mamas to see what people like and what people don't like. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video. My next couple videos are going to be a Weight Watchers must-haves video of all of the things that I absolutely love on Weight Watchers and that I eat pretty much daily. And then the one after that, I think, is going to be a Stitch Fix unboxing and try-on haul with my new postpartum body. So again, thanks guys so much for tuning into my video. Hope you guys have an awesome day and join me for the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a video to come. Bye guys.